Have you ever sent a proposal? Maybe you wrapped up a powerful discovery call with someone, or someone said to you, I'm interested in working with you. And then silence, like crickets. So you follow up once, maybe twice, and then you start asking yourself, am I being annoying? Should I just let it go? Maybe this person changed your mind. Well, in this video right here, in this list audio, maybe you're listening to this by audio. I want to talk to you about one of the most misunderstood but most important parts of growing your business, and it's the follow up. I want to talk about how much is too much, when should you do it, and how you can do it without sounding desperate. Listen, if this is your first time watching or listening to me, my name is Kimo Hines. I'm a business coach and I help you bring ideas to life and increase your income and your impact. So I want to break this down for you, this important topic of follow up. So let's start talking about follow up. And I want to start by saying this: most people stop following up way too soon. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, and you are like most business people, you have stopped following up way too soon. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You send a proposal, they check it once, and when you don't hear back from them, you give up. All right, so you send a proposal, maybe you check in with that person one time, but studies show it often takes about 5 to 8 touches to close a deal. Sometimes even more than that, depending on how, the size of the offer, how many dollar signs, how big is that proposal. So if you stop after just sending the proposal and one message or maybe 2 messages, you're not even halfway there to those 5 to 8 touches. So let me reframe this for you. Follow up isn't bothering someone. It's continuing a conversation with someone who's already expressed interest. You started the conversation on the discovery call. You started the conversation on the event or whatever you had with them. You started the conversation when you presented proposal. And now this is simply continuing that conversation. And sometimes people need multiple nudges because they're busy. Life happens. They didn't forget you, they just forgot in that moment, and they need you to continue the conversation. Think about yourself. How many times have you needed follow up conversations and nudges for you to make a business decision? I recently signed on with another business coach because all coaches should have a coach. And we started this conversation over 6 months ago. And in a cadence of every so often, he would send another nudge. We would continue the conversation. I would express interest. He would check in on that interest. And finally, I signed up and I invested in my growth in my business. So think about your own self. Have you had experiences where you needed follow up nudges to continue the conversation? So understand that you're not bothering anyone when you follow up. It is a part of the process because the fortune is in the follow up. Second thing I want you to understand is when to follow up and how to follow up without feeling pushy. Because that's a challenge for a lot of us. We don't mind following up. We just don't want to come across as being pushy, being too much. So let's talk about that. We don't want to be salesy. We don't want to be spammy. And I want to just give you a basic cadence, right? So this might be something you want to write down. This is what you do after your discovery call, after your proposal, or after someone even starts the conversation with you to say they're interested. The first follow-up should be no further than 24 hours after. So don't wait more than 24 hours after to send something. You want to send a recap of your call. You want to thank them for having that time with you, hearing your proposal, and you want to reiterate the next steps. The second follow-up, I would say, is 3 days later, you want to check in and offer to answer any questions that they have. The third part of this follow-up is 7 days later, you want to share a reminder or give them a deadline. And then what I would encourage you is weekly for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, let me say this. One of the challenges with our follow-up process comes from our call or our how we present our proposal. We need to make sure that we are presenting some sort of deadline. We want to give people some sort of, hey, this is when you need to make a decision. Because sometimes when things are too open ended, then people have no urgency to begin to make a decision. So you want to also encourage them. These are the next steps, so that when you send that call, that follow up 24 hours later, you are actually just reiterating the next steps, not telling them the next steps. You would have already told them that in the call that you had with them. And then you're sending the reminders. You're checking in to answer questions. You try to answer as many questions with them live when you're sharing your proposal, but you're also giving them opportunities to answer those questions going forward. Now, again, if you're working with an organization, those organizations usually have a timeline of their own. They have to meet with your board. They have to talk with the decision makers in the process. So this process works for them, sending you 24 hours, 3 days later to check in, 7 days later to share a reminder, and then weekly. You want to make sure you're sending something weekly for the next 2 to 3 weeks. You just want to stay top of mind. You don't want them to forget who you are and what you shared. So you're sending a reminder every for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now that's 5 to 6 follow-ups that we just covered, spaced over a few weeks. And here is a key to this process. All right, write this word down: automation. Automation of your follow-up, because 5 to 6 touches, 5 to 6 follow-ups, can we be honest, it might be easy for you to forget. And so because you forget and you miss a week, you're like, well, I've lost track, let me stop. And so automation helps you to ensure that you are doing this, and for their purposes, they don't really know that it's an automation. They know they're getting regular communication from you because you're continuing the conversation. And there's so many tools you can use, right? You can use a CRM, and that you can program it in. You have a template, it's pulling the fields and personalizing it. Or you can use your email marketing service and you can set that up. Or you can simply like have a template for your emails, and simple Google or email services will allow you to schedule out emails. Now, of course, if someone actually makes a decision, you want to make sure you stop those automations if they have bought, if they have already converted. And then you can actually have a simple Google document or a simple document that shows the reminders, and you schedule it somewhere, or maybe have someone else be responsible for sending that out. But make sure you have something that lets you know you're not having to recreate this process with every new person, but you have a process that's itemized. And then, if at all possible, automate that process so you're not having to do that and remember it all and try to create it for every person. Every new person should just be putting them into the flow of this follow up. Now, the last part of this, and this is helpful for us all, when you start feeling like, I don't want someone to be bothered, I don't want them to look at my emails or look at my messages and feel like I'm just asking, right? Because, and the other thing you don't want to do is come across in a way that's you're almost needing work, right? You don't want to say things like just checking in. I wanted to follow up, right? Because that's what we might say, just checking in, wanted to follow up. And eventually it seems like you need them more than they need what you have. So here's some ways to keep your process valuable, that they're almost gaining something every time you reach out. You can share a quick story from someone you've gotten results for. Hey, just wanted to share some great news. I worked with someone. I just finished speaking for the whatever school district. I just had a powerful coaching session with this person, and this is some of the results that they've shared with me. I got some feedback from this organization. You can share results you've been getting for someone else, because what it shows them is, while they haven't taken action. Someone else has, and that person is getting results. So, what is human nature? That FOMO. We want to make sure we get in on those results. You can send a short video, right, where you are sharing some lesson or addressing a concern. Hey, I created a video on how to do this, and I thought I would share this with you that you can look at and maybe share with the rest of your team. You're showing them you are still creating value, you're still adding value to the marketplace, and that you know that they might need something like this, and show yourself on video because it creates a great connection. And lastly, offer some sort of resource. Hey, I just created this checklist. I just created a worksheet. Thought you'd be interested in this, and you send that resource to them. Again, it is showing that you are adding value, and that value that you're adding is also relevant to them. Now, in that way, when they receive this follow-up, you're helping them with something. You're answering a question for them. You're also reminding them what's possible if they work with you. If they worked with you, they could get the results that someone else got. If they worked with you, they can experience your training, not just in a video, but live interaction with you. In person, if you're speaking, they can experience your coaching, not just by watching a video, by being in the live coaching that you're doing. They know what it's like to have your resources, but what would it be like to actually have interaction with you? Again, we want to keep the conversation going. Now, I'm going to tell you the biggest obstacle for us following up. All right, here we go. We take it personally. And here is something I need you to write down. I need you to remind yourself, if you are in any business where you are needing clients, and that's every business, where you are making outreach, where you are presenting proposals, where you are doing discovery calls, where you are doing events and making offers, don't take silence. Don't take the lack of response. Don't take it personally. They aren't ghosting you because they hate you, because they hate your offer, because they hate your business, because your business isn't viable, because, right? They might just be overwhelmed. It just might be a difficult time for them, a stressful time. Something might have come up. The committee that's meeting to discuss it, they might have a few people that are out on vacation. Something might be happening in someone's personal life. They might even still plan to say yes. They just need time. And sometimes, if we're honest, we've done it too. We don't always know how to communicate clearly what we need and that we need extra time. So what we do is we don't communicate. And so put yourself in their position, give them the benefit of the doubt, don't take it personally, and don't interpret all no responses as a no, right? Sometimes it's just not yet. In fact, it's to your advantage to actually take every no response as not yet, because some of them will become a yes, and every yes is worth quite a few no's. So even if they don't move forward, that doesn't mean your follow-up was wasted. Because what you did is you planted a seed, you showed professionalism, you left the door open, and that matters. You're perfecting your process, you are keeping communication going, you are developing your system, because if you keep that follow-up process going, you will get yeses in the midst of it. If you stop following up because of a few not yets, eventually you will run out of potential clients, and your business will die. So I want to give you a challenge at the end of this video. Think of someone that you've talked to recently, someone who showed interest. Maybe they attended a live event that you presented at, and they showed interest. They stayed all the way till the end. They asked questions. Someone who you did a discovery call for, someone that you shared a proposal. And I want you to craft a follow-up message to re-engage them. Maybe it's a company that you pitched your services to. I want you to craft some sort of follow-up message to send it to them. Then I want you to create that system that we talked about to track your follow-ups moving forward. Now, if you have, as you watch this, you're interested, if you have some follow-up questions for me, I want to just ask you, DM me. I'm on Instagram at Kymone Hinds. That's at KYMONEHINDS. Just send me a message. And I'll even send you a file that will help you with your follow-up messages. So send me a message on Instagram at Kymone Hinds, and I'll send you a file with some simple follow-up messages and maybe even that system of the timeline that I mentioned. All right. So if you're interested, send me a message and I'll get that resource to you. And as you are moving forward, I want to just encourage you, keep turning ideas into income, keep increasing your income and your impact. Someone is actually waiting on you to follow up because they need what you have. And sometimes they just need you to keep the conversation going.